shit. Oh. Oh, bloody table. Oh, that hurt. It's going to sting in the water. Oh, no. G'day all you wonderful people out there. I've got to give a big shout out to everyone in lockdown in Melbourne. Keep your head up. It looks like the plan's coming out on Sunday. But we don't get political on this show. Don't worry about that. Hey, the mailman has come twice this week. I am loving this. Mail just turning up. People donating stuff to the Pay It Forward campaign. But something come for me again this week. Braden and Tom from Daiwa sent me through some of the new bait junkie stuff. So looking forward to when I finally get out of lockdown, being able to get this stuff out on try this out. So have a look at them, some new bait junkie stuff. So awesome. Thank you very much, Tom and Braden. And we've got another parcel. This one's for the Pay It Forward campaign from Matthew Wales. So Matthew sent this in. I put it out on my Facebook today. I was really impressed with the kit. It's a fly tying kit, so that one will go out to somebody who deserves it. And with the little letter in there, I won't read it all out, but I hope this donation helps some fellow anglers that enjoy fly fishing. This is loving this show because it's something to do while he's in Metro Melbourne lockdown. So, Matthew, thank you very much for your donation to the Pay It Forward campaign. I will find a really good deserving winner for that one because that's just such a great pack. Other things, the Pay It Forward campaign is going great guns. The ladies pack was drawn yesterday, and that goes to Jody Carsberg. So Jody was nominated, and that's the Gangster pack. So thanks to the guys at Gangster that have donated for the last 2 weeks. And Jody Carsberg, I will get that out to you. You need to send me your details. So thanks, Matt. Thanks, Jody. Look, the Pay It Forward campaign, make sure you just follow the rules to go in to win one of those prizes. This week it's a kids pack. Harry has handpicked this pack out of some of the donations that we've had. So you've got to like the page, share the post, and tag somebody in it that you think deserves it, that's a child. Doesn't matter what age they are. And everyone keeps sending me messages and telling me all about, how to get sponsored. So watch this page. We have got a sponsorship package that's going to blow you away. So keep your eye on the Pay It Forward campaign and how we can go about a sponsorship campaign that will come out in the next couple of weeks. We've got a heap of people on. Let's have a look and see. Kizzard, Dale, Bo, Howard, Jeremy, David, Scott, Mark, Alyssa. G'day all, Johnny. And one birthday shout out today to Michael Paddy O'Dowd, close mate of mine up in Queensland there. Happy birthday for your 47th. I think I've got everything I need to cover. Have you watched that intro? There was some pretty cool stuff in there. We've got the man on himself. Probably the biggest collection, I reckon, in Australia, or personal collection in Australia of fishing gear, and he loves to talk about it. So let's get him on and have a bit of a chat. Let's bring in Mr. Dale Sinclair. Look at that. I caught him.
It wasn't me.
You didn't pour me one.
Sorry.
How you going, mate? Caught you in the act. That's all right. You got to drink it now. Lovely.
Yeah.
Now you've got a very big following out there. People have obviously been on my Facebook talking about it all week, and you've got a following from some people overseas. I've seen some people in the States, commenting on stuff and doing bits and pieces. So you've got this big following out there. But I'm really interested in this lure collection and this, not so much lures, but your rods. You got reels. Dale, tell us a bit about yourself, mate.
Well, I fish a bit, and the missus and I love to collect tackle. According to Pam, if I buy one more rod, I'll be on an episode of Hoarders. So I've got to be a little bit careful, but no, we just appreciate the finer things in life. We've been blessed to travel around a bit, fished in a lot of different places, used some pretty awesome fishing gear, and yeah, just living life, mate.
No, you are living life, and I've been I like to do as much research as I can, and Facebook makes that really easy. I've seen you overseas. Tell us about some of the places you've been overseas to fish, mate. Magic places.
Oh yeah, look, we've had some great trips. We've been to Buy a Lodge in New Guinea about 6 times, I think. Fished some rivers there that's never seen a white man before. Caught some massive black bass. Apart from that, we've been lucky enough to fish New Zealand, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, Christmas Island over near Hawaii. Did some work in Solomon Islands at Papachura Resort, which was sort of fun. And each year I try to get over to Lake Sinclair in Michigan with a group of reprobates that are called the Michigan-Virginia Mafia. It's a group of about 9 of us, hire a house and hang out on the lake for a week. And yeah, they've all got big ranges and things like that. And we just have a fat time. I swap around a different boat each day and fish with different guys who like to use different techniques. And yeah, it's good fun. Good fun catching smallmouth bass on the beds. It's, unfortunately COVID killed it this year, so I couldn't get across. But next year I'll hopefully be back.
So the next best thing is to come on Chewin the Fat with the cap then, isn't it?
Exactly, mate. I love what you're doing here. This is awesome. Just having someone to sit back and chat and talk. And the guys last week, they were a blast. And, Glenn Casey and Rod you had on, and the boys from Daiwa, all great guys in the industry, and, yeah, doing the right thing by everybody else who's out there fishing and paying it forward, pretty much.
Paying it forward, that's what it's all about. I'm really loving the pay it forward. But, yes, the guests have been great. It's been great fun. It was set up to be just something for my boredom at the start of lockdown. And then all of a sudden it grew into this its own little being that it is. And, look, I'm really enjoying doing it. So it's giving me something to do. Hopefully next Sunday we find out that we might be able to travel a little bit and go a bit of fishing. Trout season officially opens tomorrow down here. So I'm looking forward to going out with Mark Cook, and we might be able to walk up some of the streams following the COVID regulations, but we'll see how we go.
Must be tough living down there in Victoria, mate.
Yeah, Victoria, that's why they call it VB. It's very bad. So, it's not as tough for us as it is for the guys down in those lockdown areas. Yes, it's inconvenient. We've got to wear a face mask when we go outside. You've got to register when you fart. Everything that goes on with it. But we're not in a bad situation here as much as the guys and I really feel sorry for mates. I'm continually ringing or texting and making sure they're all right, because they can't do anything at all. We can at least go down to the supermarket and do stuff like that. So we're only in stage 3, but, fishing's the last thing. It is spring. It's my favourite time of year to fish all over Australia. And I'll tell you, if they do open those borders up, I will be doing a lot of solo trips away to the middle of nowhere to do some spring fishing, chasing yellows and trout and everything else. So I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to try something different here tonight because you've got such a big collection in your house. We have tested this once already to make sure that it all works, but we do want we will go for a walk around your house and have a look at the display cabinets. I was very surprised to see some of the equipment you've got in there. There's some really unique stuff, and I'm really looking forward to stuff. So lift that up a little bit for us there. Yep, that's it there. Tell us a little bit about this rod and reel combo. What it looks like something out of the 70s.
Yeah, this is it's from a company in Japan called Stock Limited. They make old school top water gear. The Japanese guys are way into top water gear for their largemouth bass in Japan in their impoundment. So this is one they like to look pretty. This is one I've played around with a bit, and the Japanese use a very slow action fiberglass rod mainly on these. For our use, they're pretty gutless rods, so I've modified be upside down, but it's a Bone Voyage BFS travel rod. Just modified the butt so it slots into that reel seat, and this is awesome fun for bass. Great little spinnerbait rod. They get their reels made by Isuzu Limited in Japan, who make a copy of an old Abu 5000. This one looks to be the 4600 size. So they like to pretty them up and just have fun. They call it silly style over there, which is a pretty good name for a fishing style.
That is impressive. And look, for anyone that doesn't know, I've just recently changed over to Bone and using their travel rods and their Voyager series. That'd have some serious backbone now that you've put that Bone blank in there.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. Look, the Bone Voyage series, what a great idea, and what a great bloke Bone is. One of Pam's alpacas is named after Bone. But he brought out a series of 4-piece rods. Like 2 years ago, we had 7 weeks overseas. We went to the US, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, fishing everything from smallmouth bass to roosterfish and sailfish. And we took 12 rods with us, and they all fitted in one suitcase with all our clothes. It just made it so easy to travel without a 7'6" rod tube. And we just took all Bone rods from the BFS up to some pretty heavy stuff that I could throw for GTs in Costa Rica. And just a great idea. And he's a great bloke. And we've met him a few times, and he's good fun.
Oh, great fun! And as I said, I've just got my hands on a kit of them, so I'm still waiting on some finesse stuff for my smaller bass.
Oh, yeah, those finesse spin rods, don't they? Look good.
Yeah. So, but I am going to trial them as soon as lockdown finishes, and I'll give you a report on that. Listen, we've got a few questions in, so we'll do some questions before we romp around the house. Let's have a look. Is Shaylee Green related to you?
Yes, Shaylee Green is my daughter.
I know, because she said earlier, hello, Dad. I was just taking the mickey on that one. Shaylee has asked a good question. Could you show us your favourite lure?
My favourite lure? Look, it's up in the cabinet at the moment.
All right. So what we'll do is...
when I get to the cabinet, I'll pull that one out. Shaylee Green, she's my daughter. They've just bought a lovely 575 Cruisecraft Explorer. Her and her husband, he's a great bloke, and they love getting out there. Shaylee gets a bit seasick, sadly, so they had a pretty rough day Sunday. Brendan wanted to catch some snapper, and Shaylee wanted to throw up, so they ended up spending the day on the beach at the Gold Coast. But they get into fishing, and they're good people.
Oh, Shaylee, look, just you're either the burley bucket out at those, or just go bass fishing at Somerset and you'll be fine. Don't have to worry about it. All right, let's look for some other questions. Matthew Kroll reckons that rod and reel looks like the Elton John approves that rod and reels.
Yeah, Matt Kroll, he's not a bad fisherman himself. He does a bit of fishing out of Redcliffe. He's not a bad guy. Drives a dirty old Land Cruiser, though.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that. Dale's a legend. There's a few people talking you up on here. We don't need that because he can do it himself.
Yeah, I can do enough of that myself. Pam, can you listen to that?
Can you make sure that we put your postcodes in so Harry can draw the postcode pros tonight? And what we might do, mate, is I think everyone's really sitting out there waiting to have a look at this collection. It's like a virtual tour. We're hoping that with my useless computer skills, and I've had to learn all of this from scratch about 20 weeks ago. So what have we got there, mate? Oh, Jesus, is that bamboo?
Yeah, it's carbon fiber painted to look like bamboo. It's from the Zenak stable, and Zenak in Japan makes some amazing gear. And this is an egging rod. It's for squid, so it's about 8 foot something long. I don't know. It's a long bloody thing. Stupid little mongrel tiny guides on it that I dislike. But yeah, they make it for squid, but I love it for throwing jackals for bass. It'll throw a jackal 2 postcodes away. And that reel is might be able to see it. Hang on, got to get the angle right there. It is. It's called an Evergreen Opus 1 by a little company in Japan called Evergreen, and it's what I would say is probably the best 2500 size fishing reel made in the world. It punches well above its weight for a little reel. And I've caught everything from barra to black bass to Australian bass on them.
So Evergreen bring a few lures into Australia. I can't remember through which stable, but a few years back, everyone was throwing their blades, and they were their thing.
They're good gear, and Evergreen makes some beautiful rods as well. Some of their Kaleido class rods, they're beautiful rods. I've got a few of them, and they just do pretty amazing work. And their spin reels very, very little known. There's not many around. There's the top of the line one that one is, which is the Opus 1. And then there's a Nero that's all black that looks a bit boring. You may have noticed I like a bit of bling on a rod and a reel, so I don't mind some pretty colours.
No, we're going to see more of that later on. So people will understand what we're talking about later on. Let's have a look at the questions. They're all pretty much the standard stuff. What's your most expensive? So what we might do, mate, is get you to I'm going to take this camera off the screen, make sure that I do it right. Go and grab your other camera that we've got logged in.
Okay, mate.
We'll start a walk around.
We're going to have a wander around?
Yeah.
Good as gold.
All right. Now, can you hear me there?
Yeah, I've got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're all good. We're on for the walk around. You tell us, do us a bit of a walk around and tell us what you're doing.
Okay. Well, what we've got in this one is these are the silly style rods that go with that pretty coloured reel. So you can see they love a pretty coloured rod. One thing you'll find about the Japanese, I'll pull this one out without breaking it.
You haven't got any ceiling fans there? Give you the warning.
How's it? Now, the Japanese love a dick joke. And so this one, I don't know if you can make it out. You'll find a pair of breasts on there and a rather large male appendage. And, yeah, the Japanese are all about a dick joke, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, that's all right. We won't go into why Japanese are about that. We'll keep the show clean, and I don't want to get yourself into trouble. So,
okay, and the next cabinet along, they're a Daiwa Ise called a Nambu Shiki. So again, they're designed for top water stuff in Japan, but by Daiwa, they had a little factory at the Daiwa factory. It was about the size of a double bedroom, and it was called the Ise factory. Coincidentally, my dog's name is Ise. Now, it was started by a gentleman called Yuki Ito. By coincidence, one of Pam's alpacas is called Ito. And he now runs the Megabass stable. So a couple of rods in the background there, if you can see this one here. I'll try to pick him up. That's a Megabass Pagani, and it's a real split cane rod. So it's hexagonal, made out of cane. The next one's Pam's Baby. That's a Daiwa Ito, one of the very first special Daiwas made that Pam won't use. Next along, again, one of Pam's. It's a Megabass Pagani with a Megabass Zonda Hedgehog on it. A couple of rods there that Pam found in Japan. Can't remember the name. They're called Expert Custom. They're boron blanks. And that one at the back actually has a deer antler handle. So if we move around a bit, there's a few lures in a cabinet I'll get to in a minute, but we'll do the rods. So on this one, we've got our spin rods. There's everything from, let's see, Daiwa Emeraldus, a few Daiwa jig rods, a lot of Daiwa rods there, some pretty special Sinnet from New Zealand. Beautiful rods, beautiful workmanship. His daughter actually does the paintwork on them.
So they're hand painted, Dale.
Yeah, they're hand painted in a crackle finish.
Wow.
So Sinnott, they're big on GT rods and offshore rods, but they started to do some work with Duncan O'Connell from Fishhead on trying to design a black bass fishing rod for Papua New Guinea. So this one here, it's got pretty purple grips and it's a pretty nice rod. It's a bit heavy for what I like, but yeah, still a beautiful workmanship in them. There's a few Daiwas. There's a Daiwa King Bolt there. One of Pam's. This is a Daiwa slow jigging rod. It was brought in as a bit of an experiment, and it's got a, I don't know if you can see it, it's not real good. It's got a solid titanium tip, and it's for slow jigging little jigs in deep water. Well, Pam's actually caught a metre barra on that rod, which really gave it a stretch. And this rod rack here, this was one Bone gave us at the after show last year, so it's obviously holds our bone rods, and there's about a dozen different bones there. From some of his real early stuff before he went to his own, he had an agreement with Evergreen. So this rod here is one from the Evergreen stable with the Bone label on it. If we move on from rods to reels.
Well, just before you do, mate, let's there's a couple of questions I would like. Oh, there's my Bible down there, Queensland Dams. That was my Bible book. Listen, how many rods and reels have you got? Oh, sorry, we'll talk rods first. How many rods have you got in the lounge room and the three bedrooms that you've just taken me through?
Pam's laughing. I've got to take my undies off to count the 21. I believe it's somewhere around the 150 mark, or it was, but we bought a few recently because we bought a new toy and we're getting into a bit more offshore fishing. So there's probably 160 rods around the house.
So somebody once told you at some stage that you need a different rod for every type of lure. They sort of didn't explain that it's not that many rods you need, did they?
No, they didn't. I thought every time I bought a lure, I needed a new rod for it. It's a bit like when I met Pam with handbags and shoes. You had to match them up. So yeah, there are a heap of spin rods in that rack, and some big heavy bait casters. There's one of my favourites here. I don't know if you can see if there's enough light, but there's two rods there with orange sort of camo on them.
Yep.
They're from Smith Limited. That one on the left, it's a 130-pound rated bait caster and made for big snakehead in Malaysia. And yeah, it's a pretty wild rod. I've caught some black bass on that in New Guinea. Pretty good fun.
Yeah, look, that's a wicked display of rods. Let us loose on some of your pretty reels there, mate. People are asking about the reels.
Okay, well, the top lot here. See if I can get in nice and close. There's a few stock limiteds. There's a couple of frogs. Again, a company in Japan called Frogs. They do stuff like this one with the pretty sequins. And then probably my favourite reel platform for Murray Cod and black bass is the Daiwa Z2020. That one there was hydro dipped by Matt Osley. In behind it is a limited black one. This one here is a Z200 that's been airbrushed.
Can you grab that one out for us, mate?
Which one? This one?
Yeah. Just to see if we can get that. So that's basically airbrushed on there. So we can look at
this one's been airbrushed in black and white. So it's a Barra. It's a Daiwa Z200, that one, the Australian model.
That's amazing. That is such detail on your reel.
Yeah.
I can't even keep my hooks clean, and you've got reels that look magic.
This reel here, Corey, is probably one that started a worldwide phenomena. This is one Pam had done for me about 10 or 11 years ago. I just traded a VZ Commodore Ute in Morpheus, which is purple, and I traded it on a VE Commodore SS Ute in Atomic, which is green. So Pam got a lovely lady to do some airbrushing and combined the two colours, and then just see if I can get it in focus.
Yeah,
She did
yep.
an absolutely amazing job, and that's airbrushed by hand of a barramundi. And that's a Daiwa HLC Zillion, hyperlong cast, one of the original Zillions.
Yep.
And that reel actually started a worldwide phenomena with people custom painting reels. Pam thought it up herself, did it as a surprise for me. She saw the lady at a hot rod show. I don't know if you remember Pete Robinson and Tony Robinson, the Alvey boys,
Yeah.
in the ABT tournaments. Well,
Yeah.
Pete's camper van on the back has got a big mural painted of he and Tony fishing at, where was that? Down over the border, not Hins. What's the little one? The little electric dam. It's a photo that I took of them one morning. I called it Gorillas in the Mist.
Yeah.
And that's airbrushed on the back of his camper van.
Let's keep strolling through these reels.
Okay, next, that's a Daiwa Pluton in the middle that's been hydro dipped by Matt Osley.
Yep.
Okay, below there, that's an OG Zillion, original Zillion. Obviously, that's Pam's, not mine, if Matt Kroll's watching. Behind it is a purple and white Soul. There's another OG Zillion back there with the Australian flag on it.
Clary Hall, the guys have all jumped on and said
Clary Hall, that's where it was. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Adrian Jordan. Yeah.
That one in the middle there, that white one, that's actually glow in the dark paint. That's painted by Gino Customs down on the Gold Coast.
Oh,
so when the lights go out, that one glows green.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's some of those reels. Do we want to keep walking? Anybody got any interesting questions?
Keep going in the reels. It's all the same stuff. We've got a few that we'll go back to when we sit you down. A few good ones on how you got started and stuff like that. But while we're out there,
this is how strange Pam is. This is Pam's crystal cabinet where all ladies keep their special stuff. And apart from the cookbook by her beautiful mum, there's a megabass lure in there. We go down a bit further. Everybody can see this one. This was important to me. That was second prize at the Whitfield Baby Show that I won. Still a good-looking rooster, but yeah. And then down below on the bottom there, that's a gold-plated Abu Cardinal 33 limited edition reel. So that's Pam's crystal cabinet. If we move around a bit, I'll get out. It's a bit dull in this room. So these are some Megabass rod racks that we've got. The front of this one, they're Megabass Arms rods. They're beautifully made. Very hard to get a hold of. That one's a teak handle. There's some of Pam's stinky Shimano offshore gear in the back of that as well. A few more Megabass rods. Some that haven't got room in the racks for. And then there's some heavier gear there. We're getting into light tackle game fishing for the little marlin off the Gold Coast. So most of this stuff Pam's won in marlin tournaments. She's turned out to be a pretty good marlin angler.
Holds a world record, I believe. Is that right?
Not quite. She almost got a Queensland record for a dolphin fish. She missed by about half a kilo. It was an 18-kilo dolly on 8-kilo line, and it's a pretty good effort.
Hey, it's still better than what I've ever done. That's an awesome effort, and I think she needs a prize for probably putting up with your collecting, I suppose, too.
Well, she's as bad as me, unfortunately. But if we want to have a look along Pam's little trophy shelf, there's a few different individual trophies there. She was champion female angler 3 years in a row at the Gold Coast Light Tackle Tournament. And she gets these nice big trophies and stuff, and you know, I get second prize. In this cabinet here, sorry if I'm making people dizzy wandering around. There's a few lures in this that have been given to me by some good friends in the US mainly. So I like to keep them aside. This one here, can you see him? He's a big Rapala shad rat that I found floating in Lake Sinclair at Michigan. So he earned a place. There's some hand-painted stuff of mine by a gentleman called Eric Morgan, who's a preacher in West Virginia. Lovely man. Got less hair than Uncle Fester, but he paints a beautiful lure. And that's just another assortment of stuff, some stuff there that Timmy Morgan's given me and a few things.
So we've got to, while you're walking around, you still do have to pick out your favourite lure from that question earlier. So make sure you grab that out when you're walking around.
Will do. Well, just excuse me while I walk through the house. If anybody's wondering, yes, we have a shit-hot security system. If the postman happens to fart dropping a letter in the letterbox, I know about it. So if anybody's wondering, we unfortunately had a break-in here a couple of years ago and somebody helped themselves to about 30 grand's worth of tackle. So
that sucks. That just really sucks. So I was going to mention something about that. Hey, listen, before you, we've got to give away the postcode prize, and Harry has picked out. Now I don't know if this name's real or not, but she's been on asked a couple of questions. Kizza Al-Izza. So, Kizza, you have won the postcode prize for the night. So, if you can PM me your postal address, I will send you out a couple of spoons, which are donated kindly earlier on in the show. So, they're your postcode prize. A couple of spoons there. They're a nickel spoon. So, yeah. Anyway, go on, mate.
Kizza's an excellent fisher lady. I actually saw her out on Lake Wivenhoe yesterday. Lovely lady, and fishes pretty well for the Aussie bass.
She'll love these spoons and their lollipops.
So these are our fly rods here. There's everything from a 4-weight up to a 14-weight in fly, and there's a few Scots and Sages and Loomis and things. Some old Aussie stuff here. There's Peter Newell. A few of my brothers given me some Predators from Wangaratta. They're a damn good lure. That green and black spotty one, that caught an 85-pound cod in, I don't know if you know, Cameron's in the Ovens just up from the junction.
Yep.
Yeah, so that one caught an 85-pound cod by my brother. That one there, they only made 5 of them. That's probably the only one left. But I don't know. Can't remember. Getting old. This one here, let's see if we can see that. That's the weirdest looking thing you've ever seen, but anybody who's into fly fishing would have heard of a gentleman called Billy Pate. There's some brilliant big fly reels. He started fly fishing for marlin in Cairns, and he was in Cairns in 74. So the pretty coloured stuff, he went to a local fish and chip shop, and anybody who's as old as me remembers the streamers on the door of a fish and chip shop to stop the flies coming in and out. Well, he pinched 6 inches off the bottom, tied that fly. It's on a forged bronze hook, and the eyes are little timber balls. So Billy Pate used that to catch one of the first marlin in Cairns. I think it was 1974. And he gave that to my older brother, who was fishing in Cairns that year and happened to catch a massive marlin at 1,235 pound and set a new world record for Spanish mackerel on the same day. So Billy Pate gave him that fly. And, it's one in the collection. There's a bloke I admire a lot. That's Yuki Ito, Mr. Megabass.
Mr. Megabass, yes.
Yeah. So, there's a bit of Aussie.
Everyone loves your Christmas tree, they're calling it.
Oh, the Christmas tree. I've left bloody trees like that in the river, I can tell you. If anybody wants a good display for lures, they look pretty awesome, and you can buy them in pet shops. They make them to put in fish tanks. It's just a mallee root turned upside down.
Yep, so that's the tip for the night. Go to the pet shop to get your lure stand.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at, hang on, I suppose I could go back. So this is our big cabinet there. Right,
It
so
looks
we'll start
like
this
a
way.
cartridge, mate.
So up here's spin reels. You'll find the majority of Daiwa. I tend to like a Daiwa reel. So there's that yellow limited edition Certate 2500. There's an 8000 Expedition Saltiga I bought last week that I couldn't resist. You can see in the back there's a couple more of those Evergreen Opus ones. One's mine, one's Pam's. There's a 4500S Extreme Daiwa back there, which is a reel that punches way above its weight. Next shelf down, this is mainly the Abu shelf. So there's along the front, there's a lot of 1500 and 2500 little Abus that they were the pinnacle of bass fishing back in the 70s. Those two gold ones there are a bit limited edition. This one here is a beautiful reel. Let's see if I can, the colours in that. That's a limited edition 4600. This is one of Pam's. That's it's a limited edition 5000. It's a one of a kind made by Simon Shimamura in Japan. That's 24 karat gold plating on that reel, and it's just magnificent. He made one. At the back left is one of my dad's old reels, an Abu 10,000 from the 70s. My dad was a great fisherman. There's a couple of Aurora Elites and things like that. We go other side of the cabinet. Top row is a lot of fly reels. So there's some Sage, some Loop, there's a Tibor, Abel. There's a couple of old Abu and Mitchell spin reels hidden up in the back there. Little rim fly, a tiny little old Roddy that was my first fly reel back in the early 70s.
What's that one at the back, Dale?
The big one at the back?
Yeah.
That's an Abu, a Mitchell 489 spin reel. When I was a kid, about 15, I couldn't cast a big bait caster well. And we went to Maroochydore fishing for longtail tuna, which we called northern bluefin in those days. So Dad got me that one. It's a 489, a big heavy spin reel. The next one up, the 499, didn't have a bail arm. It just had a roll of it. I used that reel back in the 70s for casting slugs and stuff to longtail tuna up off Maroochydore.
I got one like that in the shed that's sitting down there. It looks like an Alvey that's just got a little bail arm on it.
Oh, that one could be a Sea Martin. They were an Aussie-made reel that looked like an LV spool with a handle and a bit of wire and stuff off them.
Yeah.
Quite collectible. That next one along, it's another Mitchell, and that one there's a Mitchell Cap, which we used to use. Now, those two reels were bought from Dad. My dad owned a sports store in Wangaratta when I was a kid, and these were bought by a guy named Donovan who owned a car dealership, Donovan Brush. So he bought them, and I bought them off his grandson a few years ago. I actually did him a swap for some cod reels. But I just thought it was pretty awesome to have something that my dad had sold in my collection.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get away from reels for a sec because this next one's got some lures in it. There's a nice big gidgee there. I think he's down around Wagga. Some lively lures. Alan Dolan, what a great bloke. Lively lures. Puts a lot into the industry.
Puts a massive amount in the industry. And, I mean, you see him at, I know ABT have done a lot of videos and that through the trade show and through the AFTA and stuff like that. And they just, he's always up for a chat, isn't he?
Oh, look, Alan's one of those blokes. He's one of the true gentlemen in the industry. He's just good fun, and his brother Paul's not a bad fisherman up north either. This row's got some Daiwa round reels. There's a 300 blue bucker and a 200 blue bucker. That little one there, that's a Ryoga bay jigging, which I love using in New Guinea for black bass. And then there's 2 or 3 Daiwa Plutons. There's Pam's Ito, M-Ito there, the pink one, which he uses on that little pink rod. Couple of jackal lures and some duos. These are the newer Daiwa Ryogas, the black ones. Lovely reel. And if we just go quickly across into this side, these are mainly Daiwas. You may see one Shimano hanging around in there. There's some special reels from Japan there, those round things with weird handles.
Geez, they're weird. Yeah.
They're amazingly made, but geez, they overrun.
Do they?
At the back, that's the Ronald McDonald twins there. I just bought a red one and a yellow one and swapped a few plates around. Next is an old Daiwa Pixie, that purple one. The green one's an original Zillion. It's a Cabela's limited edition. The next one is a red, if we can see past that FCL logo there. That's a red TRS 100. It's a crazy cranker Daiwa Zillion, 4.9 gear ratio. An old left-hand wind, 103. That one's a Daiwa PE Zillion. That's Pam's reel. She uses that for black bass and barra and all sorts of stuff. It's actually made for squidding. It's got a bit faster level wind. So it works well as a big, heavy reel. That one there looks like a Daiwa Steez. That's just one of our general daily users. That's an Alphas. An Exist 2000 LT there, spin reel. Don't know how we end up with the bait casters. A couple of lures and a bit of a. I don't mind Star Wars a bit. There's another Steez. That's a 9-to-1 Daiwa later model Zillion in the high speed. They didn't bring them into Australia. It'll probably strip the gears when I catch a barra on it, but it's great for ripping surface lures around. And this is a gorgeous little thing here. This one, that's a Megabass Zonda. But if I get it out into the light, can you see the dragon on the side of it?
Yeah.
Just beautiful bit of gear. Now, I talked about silly style reels before. Well, this is the sort of lures they use when they're fishing silly style. There's some frogs, some stocks, some BP baits. But it's all about colour and bling. That one's not a lure. That's actually a rod grip for one of those rods. It's a Saratoga. But have a go at that Saratoga lure there. That's big swim bait. That's from a guy called Waka in Japan. Can of Budweiser. You can never have too much of that. Hammerhead shark surface lure. Keep going down. I'm gonna have to sit down. If I can't get up, Corey, someone's gonna have to come and help me.
Oh.
So in here's some pretty special Aussie stuff that I've got. There's some that's a big Bill's Bug fizzer. Some stuff I made in Wagga sent me up. Some JD stuff. That's a Jamie Flett mud eye. Another mud eye. There's that one there. I'm not sure. It's I have caught a bass on one of those.
Don't know about that one.
Yeah. And there's a little spinnerbait here that's a 12-ounce spinnerbait, which I use that big heavy Smith rod to throw. Another Jamie Flett. Some last cast spinnerbaits. I used to work for a company called ABB. They brought out some strike zone lures, and there's an ARB one. And then we go down to the bottom shelf. This guy here is a legend, Codex, Jason Cox. I'm trying to steal his wife, but she won't have a bar of me. She's the loveliest lady I've ever met, Nicole. A box of old floppies.
Oh, and you've got the box. Did you have that made up?
No, that was given to me by a very close friend, but there's a bit of a coincidence. The price is written on it. It's got all the 4 colours of the large floppy. So there's what we used to call the yellow, the green, the blue, and the orange.
Yep.
But the price written on it is in my dad's handwriting.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bloke around who he never lets the truth get in the way of a good fishing story. You interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, Rod Harrison. And he gave that to me. So somehow that's come from my father's shop to Rod Harrison and back to me. What else in there? There's that little duck. There's an old 5-inch flatfish that was Dad's that he caught a nice cod on. Yeah, another one of Jason Cox's Codex. This one here, my brother found in Lake Mulwala and posted it up to me. It's one of Jamie Flett's things, I think he called them. Fluffy thing. He did one in pink called a pink thing, or pink bits, and he gave Pam one of those. But now, Shaylee Green, my daughter, asked me what my favourite possession was, and nobody will be all that impressed with this. This is an old aeroplane spinner. So nothing special. However, Pam's brother gave it to her. Now, Pam grew up in Rutherglen, out near Lake Moodamere. And so this was Pam's dad's lure that her brother found in his shed after he passed away many moons ago. And he hung on to it. Now, not all that special until we get to that price tag on it.
And that's from your dad's shop.
And that's my dad's handwriting.
So,
now, Pam and I only met 10 years ago in Toowoomba, or 12 years ago. I'll get the shit in a minute. So her dad in Rutherglen had bought that off my dad in Wangaratta and never used it, and it sat in the shed. And so to get that for Pam and I, it's pretty special to have in our collection now. Now, my dad was a tricky old bugger. I'm not sure if you can read at the top, but we can't remember what it was. Dad had a 10-letter word that he wrote on everything. And when he converted that to numbers, it told him how much he paid for it.
yep.
So he could give his mates a discount and know that he was still making a half a buck.
That is cool.
So, yeah, for Shaylee, my daughter, that's the most valued thing I've got in my collection, even though it's nothing too flash. Here's another one that's pretty special. How about this? I don't own many Shimanos, but this is a 150 XG Chronarch. But if you have a close look at, let's get the light right, at that rod grip. Can we see that? That's Carl Jochumson's signature.
I was going to say, that's Carl's signature on a Miller rod.
And 2018. So this is one of the rods Carl used in 2018. And when he came back to Oz after the season, he did a bit of an auction and up at Fishing Bits in Toowoomba. And, yeah, I was at home convalescing after an operation and bid more than I'd like to. So, anyway, it's a Jig Freak LC power rod. But, yeah, just having something like that in the collection. And Carl being Carl, he also, I don't know, which way's up? That way's up. He also signed a photo of himself, and I think there's a Bassman spinnerbait there with his signature on it too. So, yeah, great bloke, Carl. What an amazing ambassador for Australia to have over in the US, just fishing and being a bloody good Aussie.
I'm glad it's Carl. I can tell you, he's just, one of those guys that really, does us proud.
Yeah. Okay, the bottom of this cabinet, there's an old Crouch 77 reel there that I bought in Mulwala a few years ago. My dad used to use one of them fishing with leadies near your place, under the damn wall at the Hume Weir.
Yep.
Back in the old days, we used to be able to walk right up to the wall.
Yeah.
Dad used to throw, it was just a barrel sinker with a wood duck feather in it, and he got a 13.5-pound trout down there on a Crouch reel.
People still walk up there. You're not allowed to, but they still do.
As a kid, we used to let our boat float up against the gates on the damn wall in the Hume and catch little redfin, and we'd sit there and wait for a car to come. You could hear a car come and say you'd hoik a 6-inch redfin up over onto the road, and a 6-inch redfin had hit someone's windscreen as they're driving past. And we thought it was a great joke. But you'd probably get in strife for that now.
Yeah, you'd probably get locked up. But look, it's all changed.
Yeah. Oh, look, when I was 15, I used to ride to school carrying a shotgun because school sport was claybird shooting. So imagine that now. Imagine the SWAT teams that would be out.
Yeah, but Jesus played fullback for the Arabs back then.
Just about. Jerusalem, he was centre-half back. So that's just there's some megabass and few different other styles. Now, keeping the best till last. Oh, you got to hang on. I've got to show you my favourite. That's my poo tackle box. Again, that's from Japan, silly style.
I love this silly style.
So I mentioned before about Megabass reels. Megabass make a reel called a monoblock. It's based on a 100 series Daiwa bait caster. They've brought out, I think, 13 different models. And Pam and I are one of probably very few people who own all 13. So let's go through them. That one's a Special, a Gambler, the first one there. The next one, that's a HG68. That was the first in a 6.8 gear ratio. I'm doing all right for having a few jacks, I tell you. That's a black racing condition. That one there is another Special. That one I've tarred it up a bit. It's got wood grain end plates on it. The Racing Carazira in red. That's another Gambler at the back there. That's a Grigio Stone. Grigio Titanio. He names his colours after the colours of Ferraris.
Oh,
So,
yes.
Grigio Titanium is Italian for grey titanium, I suppose. So, yeah. This one's Pam's. That's a 100 XR. That's the first fishing reel Pam bought herself. And when she bought it, she decided she'd have two. So she bought a spare, which was lucky because one of them was stolen. That's I've forgotten the name of that one. A Topaz. My least favourite, pretty boring. Special. But the piece there is Storm, we'll call this one. This is a Megabass monoblock racing Viola. So Yuki Ito made 26 of these in left-hand wind and 26 in right-hand wind. He kept one of each for himself, so there's 25 of them in each size, in each hand wind around the world. And I was lucky enough that Pam found that one and gave it to me for Christmas a few years ago. So magnificent reel. I've caught quite a few barra up in Darwin on that. None of my reels are sort of shelf queens. They all get used. But yeah, that's just an exquisite reel, and there's a matching arms rod for it in the same colours in the rack there before. Last one of those I saw sold went for $4,700 US.
So basically, yeah, you double that for Australia at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, my friend, is pretty much it. And yeah, just to remind everybody, we have got a security system like you would not believe here.
And that's that's what it's about. And I think the fishing community in general, if any of those reels got stolen and showed up, they would be reporting it straight back to you, because that is just, they're so unique. And you've spent how many years collecting, mate?
How old am I? I started fishing when I was 4, and I think I'm 36 this year from memory. Hang on, I don't know. You might be able to see me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, we've built up. We were gutted when we were broken into. We lost 30-odd reels and some other stuff that was irreplaceable. Hang on, let me put this phone down. Can you swap me over to the other person?
I will.
Thank you, because we don't want feedback. And I'll just scoot back.
Hang on. Now just check your volume there. There you go. You have your drink.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's spot on, mate. That's spot on. So look, we don't want to talk about prices, all right? It's not in anyone's interest to talk about prices, but I think a lot of that stuff that has that sentimental value to you, that your dad had sold in your shop at Wangaratta. I look back at some of those photos in the intro of you holding trout up at Hume and places like that. Yeah. You've had a wonderful journey along the way. You've been overseas. You've done all this magnificent stuff overseas. But in the meantime, you've still been able to collects all this stuff. Now, some of your stuff that you've collected is through your involvement with the lure expos and stuff like that. Tell us, or tell the, because I have a lot of people on here that wouldn't even know what the Lure Expo is. Give us a little bit of a rundown on the Lure Expo.
Okay, so the Australian Lure Expo, it started, I don't know, 6 years ago. Gary Fitz, if he's watching, he could tell us the date.
Gary's on, yeah, Gary's on.
Gary's on, yeah, he was the runt of the litter. Unfortunately, he's led a disappointing life, Gary. He was too short to be a jockey, so he's had to take up fishing. But Gary thought up this thing. Gary's a wonderful bloke. He's my best mate. We fish a lot together. He's good fun. He's a great friend. You wouldn't want him as an enemy. But Gary thought up, there's a lot of Aussie lure makers who battle away and they carve bits of stick and paint them and make lures. And so Gary had this great idea about 7 years ago that what if we get all these silly buggers together and then we'll invite the public to come and buy their stuff. So we started off here in Fernvale in southeast Queensland in a tiny little shed. I'll never forget that morning. The shed, I think we were allowed to have 45 people in it and was going to open at 8 o'clock. And by 7:30, there was a queue 100 yards long. And at 8 o'clock, they let everybody in and the whole little hall just became a mass of bodies. And we had 400 odd people in this little hall trying to bite and fight and buy the best lures. So that started something, and we invited some amazing guys. They came up, sold their gear, and so we were in Fernvale for a couple of years. We outgrew that. Went to Ipswich Showgrounds, which was good. 2 years, more room. And then they got a government grant and tore down the building, so we couldn't do it there. So we went to Beenleigh. Unfortunately, this year, because of COVID, we had to cancel it. But it's just it's run as a non-profit for Gary and I. We don't make anything out of it. We give a lot of time to it. We get the lure makers to come up. They set up their stands. They sell their gear, and it just gives them a platform to promote some of the brilliant work they do. And we get some great guys up like Jamie Judd from down at Goulburn, Gobsmacked Lures. Aaron Young from Cuttafurra, Chris Anderson up in Toowoomba, Grumpy Lures. What a great bloke he is. And then there's some true legends of the lure making industry. Chris Sinclair Fugly. Who else have we got? Can't think of his name. Guy over at, Randy Keeble. Randy Keeble, what a great guy he is. Part Aboriginal, calls himself Half Caste Lures, because I suppose he's the only bloke that can get away with that. But he's a great bloke, and I'll grab one of his lures in a moment and show you, but he uses his Aboriginal art talents and converts it onto a lure. And he's such a humble guy, and his mates talked him into sort of coming along last year and showing his gear, and he won Lure of the Year, and he was so shocked because he didn't think he was good enough. Well, thank you. Here's my assistant with some like she prepared earlier. Thank you, Pamela. Have a look at this stuff from Randy.
Oh, wow.
And my favourite is the burn art that he does. And, there's
that is magnificent, yes.
Mother of Pearl. And Pam bought me these off Randy because we don't take stuff for nothing. We pay our way in the world. But Randy's just an amazing guy. I wish he was watching. He'd be so humble that he wouldn't accept the praise. But yeah, Half Caste Lures. If you ever see, or Half Caste Customs, he's on Instagram, I think, as Half Caste, or he's on Facebook as Randy Keeble, K-E-E-B-L-E. Lives over near Beenleigh, and just an amazing, like most Aussie lure makers, a humble, bloody good artist.
And they are, and it's just getting better, and there's more people getting into it. But there's no pressure from the old school guys. It's a union of people coming together to promote their product. I love the way that it's all set up.
Yeah, look, and they all help each other out. A new bloke will come along. We've had guys who came the first year, and yeah, they'd carved a stick out of a branch and thrown a bit of spray paint on it, and it was bloody ugly. But 7 years later, they're coming on, and you see the improvement that they've made. And I was wishing I'd have bought some of those shit ugly things from the beginning, because they'll be worth a bob now, because they're making some damn fine lures. But you've got Aaron Young from Cuttafurra doing some amazing stuff at Bundalong. He's not a bad bloke. He drinks too much. And
you can never drink too much, I think. But
I'm thinking about it. I didn't show you one cabinet. We probably, if we get a chance, we'll go back and I'll show you the Lure of the Year winners from the Australian Lure Show that I've got in a cabinet there.
That'll be interesting. We've got Adrian Wilson here has asked a question. Do you re-spool all your reels at the same time, Dale?
I'm a shocker. I'm terrible, I tell you. I've got an Abu 1500 there that I still use for barra fishing. The day I met Rod Harrison, I was out in the middle of Lake Wivenhoe. He was fishing with Gary Fitzgerald, and he threw me a spool of 8-pound bionic braid, and I don't know, that's got to be 15 or 16 years ago, and I'm still running that braid on a couple of my reels. I find if you keep your reels out of the sun, your braid lasts pretty well. Most of my reels work in a rotation, so they don't see a lot of sun. I take a different reel each time I go fishing.
Not everyone's that spoilt though, Dale. Like you've got a lot to choose from there.
I've got a bit of a harem, so I don't like to wear one out, like to keep them all pretty fresh. This one here, if you have a look at that, that's, I don't know, you can't see the colour, it's too bright, but that's bionic braid. I love bionic. Another good quality braid that I use a fair bit of is Sunline Super PE in the green. But yeah, look, I'm not a great proponent of different lines. I tend to spool up a reel when I buy it, and I might, if I'm going to go barra fishing, I might put 50-pound braid on it. If I'm going to go bass fishing, I'll put 20. But if I go bass fishing and use 50, it doesn't matter. I just downsize the leader. I like to use fluorocarbon leaders, and yeah, line's just line. Just something between you and the fish.
Let's have a quick try and have a look at your winner's trophy. I'm really interested in doing that. So go and grab your other camera.
All right, let me just do my shoelace up. Just so everyone, can everybody see?
Yeah, look, the lure shorts, yeah. Yeah. Lure socks, lure shoes.
Go for a look.
You've got everything.
Look here, she reckons I'm an idiot.
No. I think he's pressed the wrong button there.
Oh, I might have buggered it up there. Hang on. No, this stuff.
Nah, just come back, mate. You'll be right. We can cover that on another show, and if when we go back to recycle through the guests when I run out of guests.
No, look, that's all right. What I can do, if I unplug that and that. You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
I'll carry the laptop around. Okay. Let me open the door. So these aren't mine. These are held in trust for the lure and fly.
Yeah, so I can see a Baramba at the very back on the left-hand side. That's the
Baramba cod. Yep. So that one best diving lure. Obviously, Randy Keeble, surface lure there. There's a fly. I can't remember who tied that fly, but that's just amazing. There's a feral cat dragon.
Yeah.
Muggo's lures. What a great guy Paul Muggleton is from out west somewhere. He's your typical country lad. He wears an Akuba and bloody R.M. Williams boots, and just the loveliest bloke you'd want to meet. That one there, that's one of Jamie Judd's gobsmacked lures. There's a Jollop lures, another great guy. I don't know if you can see that, Chris Chris Sinclair from Toowoomba's Grumpy Lures. Next step down, another Baramba.
Oh, that's budgie. Yep. I love the Baramba lures.
Yeah. And then behind that's a Blair Chilton swim bait. Blair's a lovely bloke, school teacher from teachers at Springfield. That one in the middle, that's Lei Hua, our Aussie ninja. If you watched Australian Ninja, Lei on the trials push bike, he used to make lures. He sold the company now, but that's hand painted. They're selling for about $1,000 each now.
Yeah.
Just amazing stuff. Down below, that one was, those ones were last year. That was the year before, and this is the year before that. So again, Blair Chilton, Baramba, can't remember his Consolo, young bloke from Melbourne. Solo Swagger. There's a Lively Lures there. The bottom row here, these are some special ones of mine. That one on the left I had made for Gary Fitzgerald. So it's a bit of a collaboration between Cutafara, Fugly, Chris, Ollie Hart. So they made that for Gary Fitzgerald when we put him into the Hall of Fame. The old Aussie flag one there. My daughter had that made for me by Chris Sinclair at Fugly Lures for my 60th birthday. My birthday's on Australia Day, so that meant something pretty special to me. She was probably hinting that should be my favourite reel, but...
Yeah, she might have been hinting at that. You might have just given that one away, I think.
She's an only child, so she makes it pretty difficult to pick a favourite. There's a few feral cats there. They're probably my favourite lure at the moment. I catch a hell of a lot of bass on feral cats. That one on the right, if you happen to fish Wivenhoe and you don't have that one, yeah, you're not even in the money. There's the 50-50 one that Greg carved out of timber and painted one side and left nude. So we'll move across to the next one. Have we still got me?
Yeah. So obviously they're all held in trust. They're all the winners of the lure show. So that cabinet would go out to the lure show each year.
It goes to the lure show. It goes to places like that. Yeah. Now these ones are mainly mine. That paddle at the back, there's a very good friend of mine in Michigan called Bill McElroy. He's a reprobate. He's a shocking bloke. He drinks too much. He smokes weird shit. But as an artist, look at that smallmouth bass. I don't know if you can see it there. So MVM, that stands for the Michigan Virginia Mafia. And they're the boys I fish with at Lake Sinclair every year. And they're just they're a bunch of reprobates. So there's some Blair Chilton stuff there, which Blair did for my daughter to give to me for her birthday. There's one of the Daiwa collaborations Blair did. A couple of Fuglies, some of Matt Osley's. Matt works at Charlton's Tackle at Ipswich, does some pretty good work. Again, there's a couple missing there because Pam brought them over to me earlier, but they're Randy's. Again, Paul Muggleton. Some other stuff there, some Cutafara. A few bits. And there's
big crayfish down the bottom.
The big Cutafara craze. That one at the back is the first one Aaron did, all out of timber. And the one at the front's made out of an actual Murray Cray shell.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So, all right, go and sit back down, mate, because that laptop camera is definitely not as clear as the...
Yeah, sorry, mate. But I'll post up some pics later on.
No, that's awesome. So, does the Lure Show have a Facebook page or somewhere where people can log in and have a look for dates for next year?
Look, we haven't decided yet. I was talking to Gary this afternoon about where we want to go. Because we do it as a non-profit thing, it's very difficult to get an arena big enough to show everybody costs big money. And we're sort of doing the juggle at the moment of do we hold it somewhere good and risk losing money this year, or do we try to downsize? Gary and I were talking on the way home from work today about it, and look, I believe next year it'll be either at the Ipswich Showgrounds again. The problem with that is the cost. It's a lot more expensive. They got a nice government grant of taxpayer funds to run it there, but now they want to charge everybody. They put the price up 400%. So we just couldn't afford to do it this year. But once we told them no, they could shove that, we went somewhere else. So they've come back now and said, look, next year we'll do you a better price. So I think it might be the best venue for it at Ipswich Showgrounds because people can camp. We've got plenty of room. And yeah, we'll make that decision, but probably June or July next year.
Yeah, no, and that's fair enough with the way the times are. Listen, mate, guess what?
We nearly had it. What?
We're well and truly over the hour mark.
Our time flies.
I told you you'd have a ball, and it goes really, really quickly. We're going to have to pull up stumps here. It is past my young fella's bedtime. So if you need anything to go over, just do it right now.
Look at this. This is one Chris Anderson made to match that zombie reel. So
that's a finger.
I'll give you, there's another one. There's a finger. There's a thumb.
Oh, lovely.
Look at this. This one's called George. Hang on, I'm back to front. That's Jason Cox at Codex.
You have some amazing stuff there. I am so glad you got a hold of me. As I've said to a lot of guests, very hard for people to talk themselves up. But you sent me a message and said you'd love to get on and put your little display through. And I thought, oh yeah, here we go. Until you started sending me some photos, and I went, I can't wait to COVID to finish to come up and meet you in person, mate. Tell us that last lure that you just held up. What was that one?
That one, if you're fishing Lake Wivenhoe for bass, you can see this one's done a few miles.
Yeah.
That's a feral cat.
Yeah.
I'm not fussy with colours on lures. As long as it's got purple on it, I'll buy the bastard. And if it's got purple and black, yeah. Fish on. How do I get into customising fishing gear? I guess just too much bloody time on the hands.
Too much time. No, look, as I said, mate, I don't want to cut you off. Everyone's on there saying they're speechless. It's amazing. Thanking you very much. I can't thank you enough for coming on and showing your display. As I said, next time I get up into Queensland, I do want to meet you face to face.
Let's have a fish together, Corey. I'll show you how to catch a bloody bass out at Wivenhoe.
That'll be good because nobody else can do it on the ABT circuit. I shouldn't say that too loud. People are on there watching. Hey, thanks everyone for getting on and viewing tonight. Thanks, Dale. Thanks, Pam. Thanks for everyone. I'm just blown away by your collection. It is amazing. You should feel very proud of that. And those little things like having your dad's handwriting on that box and having that given to you, that's just amazing. I will dig something out of my collection. I have got a little collection here that I don't know what I was going to do with, and I will post it up to you. We'll work something out for that. Don't forget, if you want to learn how to be a sponsored angler, we have got some information coming over the next couple of weeks. But jump on next week's show. We've got Charles West, Adrian Wilson. Yes, and Adrian Wilson.
His first, Pam and I ran the Bass Electric where he and his girlfriend won a Bass Electric at Wivenhoe. What a great guy he is.
Oh, great crew. Look, we've got the two of them on together, Adrian Wilson and Charles West. We're going to talk all things about anything that they want to talk about, but obviously they're superstars on the electric circuit. They've got the electric circuit is giving away a bass boat this year. Sponsored by Bluefin, which is a sponsor of mine as well. So we'll get on, we'll talk about electric boats, setting them up, lithium batteries, ghost trolling motors. There's lures, there's everything involved. So get on next week for Charles West and Adrian Wilson. And look, I can't thank you enough, Dale. Thanks everyone for watching. And
thanks, Corey. Thanks, everyone.
Just stay on the line there, Dale, when I cut it off, and we'll have a chat off screen. But, hey, out for now, guys.